Imagine a row of giant dominoes stretching across an entire continent. Each one represents a country. For decades, Europe's leaders carefully arranged them, convinced the system would prevent war. But in the summer of 1914, one domino fell, and within weeks an entire continent was at war. Here's the twist. World War I didn't begin because one man was assassinated. It began because Europe had built a system where almost nobody could stop what happened next. To understand why, we need to go back long before the first shots were fired. By the early 20th century, Europe looked peaceful on the surface. Trade was booming. Technology was transforming everyday life. Railways linked cities. Telegraph wires carried messages across continents in minutes. Many people believed civilization had become too advanced for another major war, but beneath that optimism, Europe was quietly becoming a trap. The continent's great powers were dividing themselves into rival alliances. Germany, Austria-Hungary and Italy formed the Triple Alliance. Britain, France and Russia formed the Triple Entente. These weren't just friendly agreements. They were promises of military support if war broke out. Most people don't realize that the alliances were designed to prevent conflict through strength. Leaders believed that if every country knew an attack would trigger a massive response, no one would dare start a war. Instead, the opposite happened. The alliances turned every local crisis into an international one. Then there was geography. Look at a map of Europe. Germany sat almost in the middle of the continent. France lay to the west. Russia stretched across the east. German military planners feared the nightmare of fighting both countries at the same time. The real reason Germany became obsessed with speed was simple. Its geography left almost no room for mistakes. Years before the war, Germany developed the Schlieffen plan. The idea was brutally straightforward. Defeat France quickly by sweeping through neutral Belgium before Russia could fully mobilize, then turn east and fight Russia. The plan depended on precise railway timetables. Every train had a schedule. Every soldier had a destination. Once mobilization began, stopping the process would create chaos. That detail would become one of history's greatest disasters. Meanwhile, another part of Europe was becoming increasingly unstable, the Balkans. This mountainous region in southeastern Europe was known as the powder keg of Europe. Old empires were weakening. New nations wanted independence. Serbia dreamed of creating a larger South Slavic nation. Austria-Hungary feared losing control of the many different ethnic groups inside its empire. Russia supported Serbia. Austria opposed it. Everyone knew the Balkans were dangerous. Few imagined just how dangerous. Then came June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, heir to the Austro-Hungarian throne, traveled to Sarajevo in Bosnia. Ironically, his visit almost ended safely. The first assassin missed. A bomb exploded behind the Archduke's car after it had already passed. The royal couple decided to continue their visit. But here's where history takes an almost unbelievable turn. After changing the day's plans, the driver made a wrong turn. As he stopped to reverse the car, he happened to stop directly in front of a young nationalist named Gavrilo Princip. Princip couldn't believe his luck. Standing just a few meters away, he fired 2 shots. One killed Franz Ferdinand, the other killed his wife Sophie. It remains one of the most consequential wrong turns in history. But this is where it gets strange. Even after the assassination, Europe still had opportunities to avoid a world war. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia. Germany gave Austria what became known as the blank check, a promise of unconditional support. Austria sent Serbia an ultimatum containing demands so severe that many expected them to be rejected outright. Instead, Serbia accepted almost every condition. Only a handful of demands were refused because they threatened Serbian sovereignty. Many historians believe this should have opened the door to negotiation. Instead, Austria declared war anyway. On July 28, 1914, exactly 1 month after the assassination, the first declaration of war was issued. Then the dominoes began to fall. Russia mobilized to defend Serbia. Germany viewed Russian mobilization as a declaration of war. Germany declared war on Russia, then on France. The Schlieffen plan immediately swung into action. German armies crossed into Belgium. That single decision changed everything. Most people don't realize that Britain didn't enter the war simply because of France. Britain had guaranteed Belgium's neutrality since 1839. When Germany invaded Belgium, Britain declared war on Germany on August 4th. In just over a week, nearly every major European power had been pulled into the conflict. No single leader had planned a world war. Each government believed it was reacting to someone else's actions. Each decision made the next decision seem unavoidable. Military timetables replaced diplomacy. Railway schedules became more powerful than politicians. Fear drove every choice. No one wanted to be the last country to mobilize. Everyone feared falling behind. The alliances that were supposed to preserve peace had become chains that dragged entire nations into war. But here's another twist. Almost everyone expected the fighting to end quickly. Young soldiers marched off believing they would be home by Christmas. Politicians thought modern industry would make wars shorter. Generals believed offensive attacks would quickly break enemy lines. Instead, technology had changed warfare forever. Machine guns could fire hundreds of rounds every minute. Heavy artillery destroyed entire landscapes. Barbed wire trapped advancing soldiers in open ground. Within months, armies dug thousands of kilometers of trenches stretching from the North Sea to Switzerland. The war that nobody expected became the war nobody knew how to end. By the time the guns finally fell silent in November 1918, more than 4 years had passed. Around 20 million people were dead. Entire empires had disappeared. The German Empire, Austria-Hungary, the Ottoman Empire, the Russian Empire. Maps were redrawn. Borders shifted. New countries appeared almost overnight. And the harsh peace that followed planted many of the seeds for another global conflict just 21 years later. The real reason World War I began wasn't because of one assassin, one archduke, or one argument between nations. Those were only the spark. The explosion happened because Europe had spent decades building a system that rewarded fear, punished hesitation, and made compromise look like weakness. History often remembers the gunshots in Sarajevo, but the deeper story isn't about 2 bullets. It's about what happens when alliances become traps, geography becomes strategy, and leaders lose control of the very systems they created. Sometimes history isn't changed by the first domino that falls. It's changed by the thousands already standing behind it, waiting for their turn. Your support of the channel by hitting the like button is greatly appreciated. See you in the next video.